Hello guys, Crispy and welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 3050 in Forza Horizon 5 with DLSS because they just introduced this update with DLSS and FSR support, so that's great of course, and we're going to check it out here in this video. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers and I'm not overclocking the card. This is the Gigabyte Eagle model of it and you can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Ups GPU-Z. Rebar is enabled, it has 8 gigs of GDDR6 because it's the desktop version of the 3050, 2560 CUDA cores, and over on the left we're pairing it with a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D and 32 gigabytes of RAM to avoid CPU bottlenecks. Let's get into it, shall we? Alright guys, here we are. Let's go over the settings first actually. I am starting this at 1080p resolution and we're also going to test this one at 1440p and 4K, and right now we got Nvidia DLSS AI Super Resolution on quality and the sharpness set to 0.5, and yeah, these are the settings right here. Ultra settings preset as well. Ray tracing is not enabled in the actual game, only in the screenshot stuff. And let's see. Yeah, it looks pretty decent, right? I mean, it might be a little bit softer than native resolution. Maybe not actually, because I'm running this on a 4K monitor, so of course it's always soft at 1080p. And we're getting like 80 FPS, 70s in this area, which is quite weird because without DLSS, I remember seeing exactly these FPS. Like, I mean, let's stop it right here, okay? 75, well, let's wait. Okay, 77. It's stabilized at 77 frames per second. And now if I go to video and disable DLSS, all right, save that. So this is native resolution without anti-aliasing. We're getting 77 FPS. Like, what? Why? What the hell is wrong with this game? I have restarted it to see if, like, it requires a restart to apply DLSS properly. No, it doesn't. FSR is the same thing, by the way. Let's set that to quality here. I found it to be a bit too sharp at 0.5, but here we go. This is the default setting for FSR. And it's 76 FPS, so margin of error stuff, it might actually be a little bit worse than it was at native res. It also looks a little bit better than native resolution without any anti-aliasing, but this is really weird, isn't it, guys? I was expecting like a performance bump like in every other title, but no, that doesn't happen. Let's try it with like 2 times MSAA, which was the default for Forza Horizon 4 with the Ultra settings preset. So here we go, 2 times MSAA. And it barely moved. We lost like, what, 4 frames per second compared to native resolution and DLSS. It also looks pretty pixelated, like these bushes over here. They don't look good, you know, like normal MSAA would make things look awesome. But yeah, I don't know, guys. Let's disable MSAA, enable some TAA here, okay, apply that. And it should go back to like 77, right? No, it's actually more intensive. So TAA is more intensive than MSAA. It also looks better, by the way, as you can see there. Like the bushes look way more, or less pixelated actually. Yeah, more detailed. So the bottom line is, TAA in this game looks better than MSAA. That's really weird to say, but it's true. You saw it, right? And FSR, DLSS, it doesn't really do anything, honestly. It actually makes the game look pretty similar, yeah, to TAA, while getting a little bit more FPS than TAA. So, I mean, would you enable it, or would you just play it at ultra settings, native resolution, or like 2 times MSAA, or like even TAA? You know, I don't know. I was expecting it to go from like 70 FPS or 80 FPS, which is what I got in my previous 3050 video here in Forza Horizon 5, to like 100 FPS, maybe like 90 to 100 most of the time, but that's not the case in this game. And I would argue that it actually looks worse than it did previously, because look at those power lines or power wires, whatever people call them. They are super pixelated with DLSS here. Oh boy, where did I... Oh god. I stopped counting the FPS and it went to hell. Let's go to settings here again. And I am just gonna set it to TAA here, okay? Because it's what looked better here in this game, at least to me. Okay, and look at that. Power wires are now a little bit better looking, almost disappearing, but at least they're not a shimmery mess. The game looks better overall as well. like the car and stuff. I can't see any pixelation here. Maybe a little bit right there, but it was emphasized with DLSS. So I think the version, or the implementation, should I say, of DLSS in this game is terrible. I have never seen an implementation of DLSS or FSR 2.2 in this case that just doesn't boost your FPS. It's super weird, right? I'm just gonna get to the city right now, guys, to take a look in there. Like, there are more houses and stuff like that, more edges to define with the TAA and upscaling technologies, and we will be able to see a little bit more shimmering there, I believe, and it's also a little bit more intensive. I remember this got close to dropping below 60 FPS on ultra settings 1080p when the game came out, well, when the GPU came out, because GPU came out after the game came out. So when I tested it last time, basically. And we're finally here, guys. So native resolution, ultra settings. It's getting close to 60 FPS, actually 69 there, which is perfect, of course. I don't think it will drop from 60 FPS. Maybe in the tunnel it will, but yeah, it's a great experience. It was already like this in my previous 3050 video in this game, so if you are interested in watching native resolution stuff or more of it, I got the full video uploaded already, and it's just the same thing. I'm doing exactly the same thing because DLSS doesn't work properly in this game. Nothing works properly. So, okay, quality FSR 2.2. Looks a little bit softer, maybe. You can see a lot more shimmering now. Once again, in those power wires, it's pretty much the same FPS as well. Like, this should not be like this, guys. It drops from 60 there, getting out of the tunnel, which is the most intensive thing in this game. I would play at native resolution instead of FSR 2.2. Let's try it out now with DLSS. Okay, here we go. Quality DLSS. Let's go. I think I would still prefer the native resolution, honestly. It looks a little bit sharper. On a native 1080p monitor, it might actually look better like this if you prefer the sharpness, but I mean, you don't gain FPS and you're not playing at native resolution anymore, so why would you play like this? Come on, Forza, please, developers of this game, why? Why did you do this? I mean, the inclusion of FSR 2.2 and DLSS is amazing. On a later update, you know, you didn't include it, okay. At least now it's here. But it's terrible. It's not working, basically. I mean, you can see the difference in graphics, but the performance is not better, so why use this? Drive through the city once again. We should still see it drop into the 60s, maybe. If not, we're actually seeing a little bit of an improvement in this scenario. Yes, okay. So it's not dropping to like 69 anymore. We are getting 70 plus. But once again, guys, usually in games when you enable DLSS, you get way higher performance, like at least 20% more. And here it's just, what, 5 FPS? I don't know. I don't know if it's worth making videos in this game or more videos in this game. You know, I was thinking of retesting all my RTX GPUs, some of the older stuff as well that support FSR 2.2, not Kepler, by the way, because those GPUs can't really support it. But yeah, at this point, I think it's just not worth it, because I already have the results at native resolution. It looks great at native res. And, that's terrible, actually. Let's enable some TAA here at 1440p. And DLSS doesn't really bring anything new to the table, so I just wouldn't use it. Anyways, this is native 1440p resolution at ultra settings. We had 50s. That's to be expected. We were close to 60 anyways at native 1080p. Yeah, dropping down into the 40s there, getting out of the tunnel. It's still a playable experience, especially for Forza, in my opinion, or for people that aren't competitive, like me, for example, in this game. Yeah, it's alright like this. I actually played it on my laptop for a while with like 48 FPS locked because the in-game lock was set to 48. And I couldn't really be bothered to enable MSI Afterburner and Riva Tuner and lock it to like 60 actually. And I just didn't really want the laptop to get too hot, so I played the game for hours using 48 FPS locks. So yeah, I still had fun. I still could play the game absolutely fine and it looked gorgeous. So you can definitely play with these FPS. This is 60 on average, which is awesome. And even in most intensive scenarios, it only drops into the high 40s anyway. So it's a great experience here with the 3050 at native 1440p. Okay. And let's stop it there now. All right, wait a second. Just gonna actually stop there. See the FPS, 53, 54 there without the car on the screen. And now let's enable DLSS. Maybe at higher resolutions we will start seeing a bigger difference. I don't know. Set that to quality. Remember, we were seeing 54. Now we get 6 more FPS. And honestly, at 1440p, things start looking pretty good. As you can see, there's still some shimmering in the power lines. But getting out of the tunnel, it doesn't drop to 40 anymore. But we got 50. It's not a major difference. But at this point, I could see you take advantage of this. A lot of people take advantage of DLSS at 1440p because it's the difference between playing at 50-ish FPS and 60 plus most of the time, unless you are in like worst case scenarios. And again, it looks a little bit sharper than native resolution. All right, going to see the entire city from above right now. Getting 62 there. That's much better. Okay. Well, at higher resolutions, it might actually make a ton of sense to play with DLSS here. Because now it's a 60 plus FPS experience, like most of the time, aside from when you are in tunnels and getting out of tunnels. It definitely feels smoother because the difference between like 55 and 60 FPS is noticeable. While maybe looking a little bit better than native resolution if you like that sharper look. So yeah, it's not like too shimmery like it was at 1080p resolution. So at 1440p, I could see a lot of people taking advantage of DLSS in this game. Let's see FSR though. I'll set FSR to quality as well, 0.5 sharpness. Is it similar? Hey, it's way softer actually. I think this is softer than with TAA at native well, that's to be expected honestly, but yeah. The DLSS was way sharper than this. It looked better in my opinion here. I would not use the FSR 2.0 with the 3050 here, guys. Unless the performance was way better than with DLSS. In that case, maybe. But again, I could play the game absolutely fine with 48 FPS locked. So yeah, I think I would go for that visual experience instead. You could get used to it though. And on a native 1440p monitor, FSR 2.0 might actually look really good. And as you can see, it's giving us around the same FPS as DLSS. Maybe slightly lower, but we also saw a lot more cars right there on the screen with FSR. So there could be a little bit of a difference there in the benchmark run, you know. So yeah, 66 FPS average. Wasn't that what we got with DLSS? It's pretty much the same. So either way, you're fine. If you prefer a softer look, FSR is there for you. If you prefer the sharper look, DLSS is there. This is nice. You know, it was a nice little improvement. I just expected way better. Now let's see it at 4K. At this resolution, the 3050 obviously starts struggling a lot. Yeah, although 30s, it's not too bad actually. It's really shimmery though at native resolution. So we need to enable some TAA here. TAA at 4K just looks awesome in this game. Like it looks like you're literally playing with MSAA, which is weird. So yeah, native resolution, does it drop from 30? Because if it doesn't, the 30 FPS experience not too bad in this one. It doesn't drop. 33 was the minimum getting out of the tunnel there, which is again the most intensive thing in the game. So not bad. Still not a bad experience. The thing is, if we're seeing like close to 40 FPS on average using no DLSS, usually in other games that support DLSS, you'd see it jump up to like 50 minimum. Maybe even 60 on average. And I doubt that's gonna happen in this one, unfortunately. You know what, guys? Oh, I'm stop. Can you please? His car was stronger than mine, I guess. As I was saying, I started counting the FPS again. I'm sorry. All right. Anyways, we're gonna see the FPS in the city here, not dropping from 30. If it didn't drop from 30 in the tunnel, it won't really drop from 30 over here either. So yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it was 38 FPS on average overall. We were getting like 38 previously before I restarted the counting system. And okay, 33 there again, by the way, because of the bushes, I guess. All right, that's native 4K. It's playable still. I think it could still be enjoyable for a lot of people, which is awesome at 4K. But let's try it out with quality DLSS. So we were getting like 33 here. Enabling quality DLSS gives us 40. 7 FPS. At least percentage-wise, it's a bigger percentage right now at 4K, the difference between DLSS and no DLSS. So yeah, 7 is like what? 20%, 22% or something like that of 33. Maybe a little bit higher than 22%. But yeah, it's a 22% increase in performance here. We're in the 40s now. That's noticeable, the smoothness difference. But I mean, it's not as big as in the other games. That's what's bothering me here, guys. It's really bothering me. I thought this game with DLSS would be awesome. It would run like with crazy high FPS because it's very well optimized. But maybe because it is very well optimized, we aren't really seeing a huge difference by the introduction of DLSS. That might be it. I don't know. I don't think I have wrecked a car as much as I have wrecked this one today in the previous video, guys. Even when I am playing the game for fun, I don't think I have done such a horrible job at driving in this one. Anyways, going to the city. Remember, it dropped into like the 30s here, and now it's not even dropping from 40 FPS, which is a good improvement once again. I don't think it's worthy to retest every single GPU that I tested so far in this game if there only is like a 5 FPS difference. And it actually looks worse, because I can say that this is not looking as good as native resolution here with the DLSS on quality, unfortunately. It looks pretty good still, don't get me wrong, but there were still some shimmery edges in like posts and stuff like that, so yeah. Let's see like balanced DLSS, which in most games looks amazing at 4K resolution. And we were getting like 40, and now we bumped it up to 43 on balanced DLSS. It looks pretty similar actually to quality DLSS. I can still see some shimmering in some areas. So definitely not as good as native 4K in this one with TAA. The thing is, if you play at native 4K without TAA and without any anti-aliasing, it will also be super shimmery. It doesn't look like 4K, so that could be why these upscaling technologies aren't really working very well in this game as well, because it sort of feels like when the game is set to native resolution and without TAA or MSAA anti-aliasing, it feels like it's not set to native resolution. Now, we will disable it and keep these turned off. Also, that's probably why they chose MSAA 2 times as the default for medium, high, ultra, and extreme presets, because without it, it just doesn't look like native resolution. And, okay, here at 4K, it's harder to see, of course, because 4K is such a high resolution. But, for example, if you take a look right there, when I am turning the camera around, you can see a lot of shimmering. And that's definitely more shimmering than other games at native 4K without any anti-aliasing. So, yeah. Strongly recommend you to enable TAA if you aren't playing with upscaling. Also, look at all of that shimmery right there. Yep, it looks pretty bad actually without the anti-aliasings. I will just enable TAA so you can see the difference now. See that? Way better. No shimmering on top of the car whatsoever. And it still performs quite well. So, in conclusion, guys, if you're playing at 1080p, I would just use TAA or 2 times MSAA, and it will work quite well with the same FPS as quality DLSS while looking better. At 1440p, I think I would choose the quality DLSS preset because it makes you go over 60 FPS most of the time, and there's actually a quite substantial smoothness difference there between like 55 to 60 most of the time and 60 to 65 most of the time. And then at 4K, since we can't really get 60 FPS anyways with upscaling, I think I would stick to these settings. TAA, native 4K, lock it to 30, maybe add a little bit of motion blur, which I have heard looks quite nice in this game. And yeah, play like that with a controller and stuff. You should still get really good visuals. You will still get really good visuals and a somewhat decent experience in terms of FPS in a game like this. So that's been it for this video. Let me know if you would like me to test other GPUs here with FSR 2.0 and DLSS. I just think it's a very underwhelming implementation in this game of these upscaling techs. Maybe it's just because of how the game was made, again, with that native resolution stuff. But yeah, that's been it. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.